It must not be a capitalist system, but we don't want to exploit anybody. We don't want to be exploited, and we don't want to exploit anybody.
Ain't nobody gonna do it for us. There's nobody outside of yourself, nobody outside of ourselves that's going to do this work for us. We have to put in that real work.
Because the better you are at exploiting people, the more successful you are within capitalism.
We want to say salute to all our political prisoners, our POWs, our elder comrades in exile.
The satisfaction we need as a people only comes through liberation and independence.
Because we're not just building for self, we're building for the family, because the family is broken. We're building for the community is broken. The nation is broken. The race is under attack. We're in a state of emergency.
You're tuned in to the New African Broadcast Association, where
we always say the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
these are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. Free in the land, and we ain't asking y'all.
Of the Voices of New Africa, the show where we educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. I'm your host, Brother Prophecy, and as always, I got my comrade, Grandmaster Teacher for Dolly, and my soldier, my partner in crime, comrade Kakayi. And we are the Voices of New Africa, and we do this every single weekend, y'all. Every single weekend, every single Sunday. Y'all know how we do. But comrades, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? For the comrade Dollar, how you doing?
I'm doing great. As best I can under these. Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, now say that again. You was up.
We're going to organize ourselves to win those areas, to claim those areas that our states, which is Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Louisiana. And so consequently, we will be able to be an independent and free nation as a result of the provisional government that has been set up by us. And in March of this year, we're going to have a Nation Day meeting in Charleston, South Carolina. And we're looking forward to all forces, all people who understand that we are the Republic of New Africa, and to show up and participate in our activities.
All right. Sounds good. Want to give a big shout out to. Want to give a big shout out to Melly Queen. I see you out there doing your thing, sharing this show, and I appreciate everybody for doing a great job of getting the word out and let everybody know. Anybody out there that you think would enjoy or benefit from this type of conversation, just send them, put their name out in the comment section, and it'll give them a notification, and they can come and join the family and join the conversation. But big shout out to you, Melly Queen. And I see Madam President Sama out there doing her thing. So yeah, definitely good. And everybody out there who's tuning in and joining us, drop a line. Let us know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Let us know that you're out there with us and join the conversation. Joe Gonzalez, my man right there. Brother Joe Gonzalez. We're going to do the big thing with Brother Joe Gonzalez. You know what I'm saying? I ain't forgot about you. Sometimes I get a little busy. But yeah, definitely. So what's been going on, Grandmaster Teacher? What's on your mind?
I think that we as a people have to begin to understand that this system will never give us any of our rights, because we want human rights. We want to organize ourselves as a free and independent nation. And as we do that, we're going to have many challenges, and I will call out to those people who are that we want to be allies in helping us organize ourselves to the point of where we will gain control over our territory, and our foreign policy will be for us to be a part of the whole nation state of the world, and we'll be able to support other people in their efforts too. And we have always supported others. Now we must ourselves support ourselves to the extent that we free ourselves, and we won't have to be under the exploitation of this enemy.
Definitely. Thanks for that. Big shouts out to my sister Bianca Corner. How you doing? She said I don't know, liberation in love. Definitely liberation in love. That's what we're all about. Trying to gain liberation because we love ourselves and we love you, and we love you because we love ourselves, because we see ourselves in you, and we see ourselves. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that we have to always understand, that we are the same people, and we are under the same struggle, and we have the same stripe, and we have the same goal and objective, and that is liberation and the upliftment of all of our people. Definitely. And as you said, if you read by the title, we've just passed the 100th year anniversary of the massacre down in Florida, Rosewood to be exact. There was a successful, prominent Black town, which we had many during that time period, that was brutally attacked by the system of white supremacy, simply because there was a European woman who had claimed that she was assaulted by a Black man, and as many cases, the power structure, the Europeans at the time period gathered up in mass, and they just began to attack us viciously and destroy the entire town. And I mean, unfortunately, this story is too common and is not known by our people. One, we don't even know that many of our Black townships existed, and the fact that when we have been left alone to do our thing, to govern ourselves, we have succeeded. We not only survived, we have thrived all over the United States of America. We have example after example of independent Black townships, independent Black communities that did not have the type of problems that we face in our communities today. So just understanding our history and understanding that what our recent history is. I mean, a lot of times we go back to Africa in the pre-colonial period, to find our glory days, but you can go back, not too long ago, when you find independent Black townships and Black people displaying our genius and our creativity when we are allowed to govern ourselves, and when we are allowed to do for self, and being able to thrive and create a life that is wonderful for ourselves and our people and our children. Even right here in Memphis, Tennessee, the Orange Mound community, which is infamous now. People look at it and they say, oh, the crime, the drugs, the poverty, and all of these type of things. But that's not originally what Orange Mound was. Orange Mound was a mecca of Black excellence. It was a mecca of Black entrepreneurship, Black professionals, Black landowners, all of these things. So these are just things that we are capable of doing. And that's why we say, we're trying to establish an independent Black nation here, because we've done it on smaller scales. You know what I'm saying? The problem has not been the ability to do it. The problem is been the ability to protect ourselves from outside forces that don't want these things to happen, because our independence represent the end of the dependency that we have on a system that is benefiting from our exploitation. But once we gain our independence, then they can no longer exploit us. Then that lifeline, our bloodline that is feeding them, is cut off. And in many cases, just like this guy, Nathan Bedford Forrest, which was a slave owner, a general in the Civil War who committed many atrocities, a famous massacre down in Fort Pillow, Tennessee, which is now just in Henning, Tennessee, which is now a big prison, where he massacred black people who were surrendering during the Civil War. He also owned a slave plantation down in Forest City, Arkansas, which had a slave breeding farm on it. Well, you know, once they got rid of slavery, he didn't have no means to make money anymore. He actually died poor, you know, and that's what happens when we cut off this life support, this line, this feeding them with our exploitation, with our blood, sweat, and tears. The system falls. So that's what we're trying to do. But this is the 100 year anniversary of this terrible, terrible massacre, one of many, but this one of the more popular massacres, one of the more well-known in Rosewood, but it's not the only one. It's a lot of things that have happened. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah. I just like to say that when we talk about independence and our independent sovereign nation, it's not going to be something that's going to be just handed to us. If we think that we're not going to have to fight to make sure that we get out of this Western Hemisphere what's rightfully ours, then many of us are sadly mistaken. They coming at us, and they coming at us for our heads, because they can't afford us to leave their system of exploitation. They can't afford to allow us to set up something new and be competitive with them on an equal level, because they know at time and time again, when everything is equal and fair, they can't even, they just can't hang with us. They can't compete with us. And so for us to know that the solution to our problems is to have our own independence, our own independent sovereign nation, our own governing, old government, our own economic system, our own land. It's just one step towards getting where we need to be, and that is independent and having our freedom. But if you think for 1 minute that we're not going to have to protect and defend ourselves for doing what's right for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so forth and so on, then you're sadly mistaken, people. Soldier up, get yourself ready. They're getting themselves ready. I think last I looked, it was over 1,100 militias that they have in the United States. And it's almost impossible for us to create a black militia here in the United States that gives you an example of why we need to soldier up and take care of ourselves and prepare ourselves to defend ourselves when it comes time for us taking control of our national territory.
Yes, and we have to understand the nature of what our brother Prophecy was saying, brother Yera Prophet was saying. And there are two examples. In Knoxville, Tennessee in 1919, they attempted to march into Knoxville, and they did march and destroyed many businesses. And one brother, who was a brother that was getting white folks elected and different things, got accused of raping a white woman. But in Knoxville, the Africans were ready to fight back, and so the governor of Tennessee did not allow them to go and lynch the brother until like 2 or 3 years later. He was legally lynched, but this brother was innocent. He was just guilty of association, with white people. And Knoxville had a thriving business community, a black business community, and it was destroyed in the struggle, but we fought back there. And then Little Rock, Arkansas, that was a situation in 1919, same year. in 1919 was a famous year. It was called the Red Summer, in which a lot of African black folks that came from World War I, excuse me, soldiers were lynched, and Arkansas had the largest number of people lynched in one year. I think it was 247. But in Little Rock, even though the business was destroyed, the black folk fought back. So it's something that we can look up. You can look up those shit like in the South, all over the South were areas where and Ida B. Wells, in her books showed how it was economic. It was always an economic reason. It was never a sexual lynching. The sex part was used as a subterfuge. In many instances, where black men were lynched, it had nothing to do with them having any relations with white women. Most of them were false, and so what we have to do is and do what Ida B. Wells did then. That they burned her office down. She went and she moved to Chicago, but she suggested that the black folks in Memphis should leave, and I think about 8,000 black folks left under that, under those circumstances, and probably went to Chicago or somewhere like that. But what I'm saying is that's not the solution for us today. But it shows you if anybody can organize or get information to our people will respond. And so, in almost all instances where we see the movement of our people, we see newspapers being at the forefront. Even in the days of Martin Delany and Frederick Douglass, you had the North Star newspaper, edited by Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany. If you deal with in the period of the 1920s, you had the Negro World by Marcus Garvey that knocked out all publications. In other words, because they stopped talking about gossip in our community and they began to talk about how we were being treated, how we were being and it was published in French, Spanish, and English. And God was able to organize up to 11 million people, during a period of time from 1914 to about 1925. There were about 11 throughout the world, not just in the United States, but throughout the Western Hemisphere and throughout even Africa. The Negro world reached that. And then if we look at today, look at the Muhammad Speaks that was set up by Malcolm X, and Muhammad Speaks was a popular paper under before Malcolm X was assassinated and became the final call. And then you had the Black Panther paper, and all of these things had a different element where they were talking about what we want as a people. We want liberation. We want reparation. We want different 10 or 12 different things. And even today, we still have one newspaper called the Burning Spear. You can do it online, burningspear.com, and it has 14 points that talks about what we should be doing as a people in terms of organize ourselves, and so therefore, like when we and our people have at different points of time, these were popular newspapers and influenced the movement of our people. And so consequently, that's why they had to destroy people who were in the leadership of those organizations so that they could stop the publication. So Black Panther paper was last published when Black Panther closed down in 1980. And so we have to begin to understand that this information that we are putting out on the air is very vital to get to the masses of the people, because the masses of people will respond. And even after slavery, when people couldn't read, they had people who could read they would gather together to accept what was in the newspaper, and because it was against the law for us to read, and right as a people, during the days of chattel slavery. And so consequently, the information was passed through people gathering together to read. So we still have an element that we can do in terms of social media, in terms of putting information together, where we have, and through the organs that we have, to begin to try to counteract all the negative messages that have been put out from social media, and try to see how we can get our people to respond to positive messages put, about what we are doing, not only here in the United States, but all over the world as a people, so that we'll have a knowledge of information where we can come together, and we'll be able to withstand whatever attack will come against us. So we don't have to wait for them to attack us or anything like that. We have to come together and pull our own militia structures and everything that we need together. And let me say this: we have the elements now within our society. We have people who are trying to get white folks to come and take guns because our youth are supposed to be killing each other and all that. That is the wrong message. And in other words, because the youth are going to be our soldiers. Those same youth, many of those same youth are going to be the soldiers that we're going to use in our struggle.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000% on that, because a lot of times, we look at the gang problem, and it is a problem. They make no excuses. Let's be clear. There's a problem with the gang. There's a problem with violence. We know these things, but the solution is not necessarily, one, getting rid of all the youth, attacking the youth, destroying the youth, killing the youth, locking the youth up. The solution is to focus on these youth and transforming their mentality from one of a criminalistic mentality to a revolutionary mentality, as George Jackson always talked about. And because we have to understand that the gangs, they already have an infrastructure set up. They are already organized. They just the focus is just incorrect. But if we can gather them, and I know one thing that we would do, and our master teacher, we would always target the leadership of the gang, because we understood if we can get the mind of the leadership, then they will take care of everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And we have some of our strongest soldiers through that. We've had people in our organizations who are leaders of Crips and so forth, and brung on like a whole, a group of Crips that actually I'm still good friends with them to this day. So the goal can't be just simply, first of all, we got to stop being afraid of our youth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's a disconnect between the elders, the grown people, and the youth. That we have to connect. We gotta reconnect that. You can't be afraid of your youth, because it is up to us to guide the youth in the right direction. So when it's that time to take control, they'll know which direction they need to be going into. We have to guide the youth to in the correct direction, so they can take over and they can move our struggle forward with the new technology and the new ways of doing things. Because everybody has their time. Everybody, when you become an elder, it's time for you to sit back and advise and direct and understand and see. Look, you're going into a pitfall. We already made that mistake before, so we can avoid that. You know what I'm saying? When you're in the warrior class, it's time for you to step up and be the leadership. You know what I'm saying? When you're in the youth, it's time for you to be young and learn and prepare to take, your position when it's that time. You know what I'm saying? And we got to make sure that we are going by that structure and not just, saying, because we have certain organizations, we got a whole lot of elders who don't even want to give up the position. Just want to keep the position because it comes with some kind of prestige or whatever it comes with. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, the generation that should be in power is not getting that experience. They're not doing that. They're not using the ideas of the day in order to push our movement forward. And we have a lot of outdated methods that we are using when we should be, updating the struggle when our enemy is doing that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't keeping up. We falling behind, and consequently, we have a lot of young people who just disconnected with the struggle altogether. These are things that can be corrected, but it's only going to be corrected with effort. You know what I'm saying? We have to make a conscious effort to collect, to reunite our youth, to bring our youth into our struggle, to educate, to provide the proper information. And interesting, when you was talking about all the newspapers, there's actually a newspaper that is produced by conscious citizens of the Republic of New Africa. I wish I had their name, but it's called Rebuild. And I think we're probably going to be doing some advertising to promote that a newspaper, because it's an outstanding newspaper. And not only, you know, is there a physical copy that you can get and you can read, but it's actually online also. And I wish I had the information with me. Anybody got the information about that? A newspaper, Rebuild, let us know so we can put that out there. I've been intending on putting it out anyway, something we should be doing anyway. But definitely, we have work to do, but it's all work that can be done and is right at our hands. And all we got to do is just have the will and the manpower and to do it, and the energy to do it. And we got all of that. You know what I mean? We have all of that. So yeah, I'll yield on that. When I say I yield, that means somebody else can pick up the conversation, you know.
Okay, so therefore, you want to say anything, brother?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, so I think that it's important that what Brother Yara properly just said, and that and we have to come together and make conferences and conventions and stuff, so that we can bring in all the youth, not just the youth in the gang, but because the gang, even though they're organized, most of our youth are not in gang. And so therefore, what we have to do is as a youth, will pull together for the Student Nonviolent Coordinate, you know, that period of time in 1961, when they got pulled together, when the youth came together, they came from all forms and all, you know, sectors. And so, and we got to do it. It has to be done where they're organizing this, and when they were organized, they decided they were going to be an independent youth organization, and they went throughout the South to organize our people in different areas and rural areas, and made great sacrifices of life and limb, you know. And so consequently, what I'm saying is, it has to be a planning process, a planning convention that is going to draw all elements of our community together. And the youth are going to be the major part of it, because the youth are going to be the spark of the next revolutionary activity that we are going to be involved in. And so consequently, this is where we are, you know, that we are in terms of saying that we're not going to belittle any youth or be negative toward any group. Unless it's going, the only time we're going to be negative is that they refuse to become a part of the movement. If they refuse to become a part of the movement, then there will be people that have to be dealt with as being internal enemies to, you know, to the aspirations of our people. And we got to understand that we have to deal with those people, because there are people who want to just be capitalists. They want to be, you know, just be rich, or just want to rob us, and you know, and they look just like us, and it's not just the youth. And so consequently, this is where I believe that, you know, we need to come together in March and lay out some plans, you know, for having conventions and things during the year, during this year, and try to see how we, and the only agenda topics would be like how do we go to these places where we're supposed to own? How do we go to Mississippi? How do we go to Louisiana? How do we go to Georgia? How do we go to South Carolina? And these are the kind of things, in Louisiana. And these are the kind of things that will give us projects in terms of how we're going to move. I know we're already doing some things. We're already doing something in Mega Abbas, you know, city, and some places we are doing, you know, like things in Georgia, places like that. and we can begin to put a light on what is the activity, what is the practical activity that will lead us to organizing ourselves to become that nation that we are. You know, it's just a matter that we don't have control over the land and territory that belongs to us.
Yeah, I see a lot of people
a
having
lot of people
comments.
having comments.
One
One
in
in
particular
particular
that
that
just
just
kind
kind
of
of
struck
struck
me.
me,
Brother
brother
Obafemi.
Obafemi.
Femi, I hope I
Femi, I hope
pronounced
I
your name
pronounced your
correct.
name
If I
correct. If
didn't,
I
I wasn't
didn't, I wasn't
trying to mess
trying
up
to
your
mess up your
name.
name.
But
But
he
he
says,
says, look forward to the race force. Look forward to the race first national conference coming in 2025. Any city looking to host a race first rally, please let me. Baba M. Hotep. About to move? No. Yeah, that actually sounds something. That sounds pretty interesting. I would like to know more information about this conference, race for first conference. That sounds like something we might want to participate in. Yeah, so just give us some more information on that, brother. Sounds like something that we'll be interested in promoting, and all of these type of things. We have to. That's one of the reasons I created this broadcast, so we can bring together like minds, and we can collectively create programs and conferences and work together and make the world smaller. Because that's one benefit of social media. It's got a lot of things that people use it for the wrong reason, but one beautiful thing about social media is it allows individuals who have like minds to get together and really collaborate and build. And there can be a positive and a negative thing depending on what your ideals are. But we got to jump on this, and we got to take full advantage of every resource that we have, so we can collectively build the nation, and we can collectively save our people and ultimately create a better world. Like I say all the time, we can do better than what we're doing. We can do better than creating a society that's predatory, that preys on the weak and exploits man by man, and all of these negative things that we see happening in our society. We can just do better than that. We are better than that. We must do better than that, no doubt. So thank you, brother, for that information, and we will definitely jump on that when I get some more information, man. We'll spread it out. If nothing more, we'll make sure we get the word out. Melly Queen, you out there giving all the public announcements and telling everybody what we need to be knowing. Let me catch up with some of this. Let me just, I'm press one random. National Cleanup Day on May 20th, 2023. Get together and let's clean up our communities, clean up your environment, and you clean up your mind. Let's get together. And I want some more information on the national cleanup. Was that National Cleanup Day? I want some more information on this. This is happening in May 20th. We got a little time to organize some, see how we can maximize this particular day, since it has some energy behind it. Because I see you've been posting in it for a while. Also, Reparation Day is in February 25th, 2023. Tap in and get informed. Damn right. We deserve our damn reparations. That's in my Melly Queen voice. And we are demanding the release of our political prisoners of war, political prisoners, and that's all that is. That stops right there. But yeah, and I think we're actually trying to get together some type of program for Reparations Day, because Reparations Day fall in February, which is also Black History Month. So we're going to be trying to put together a program. We also was invited back to the Northwest Correctional Complex, which we're going to hold a Black History program for those brothers. And if y'all missed last week's show, we was talking about our trip last Thursday on Uchma in Kwanzaa. We had an outstanding time. We had an opportunity to talk to the inmates up there in one of the worst prisons in Tennessee, and just the level of awareness and the sincerity and the love that we felt from those brothers. I mean, it's clear that some of our strongest, our most brilliant mind, our greatest warriors are locked up in a penitentiary, and that's not an accident. That's a war tactic. Cut off the head so the body can't survive. Historically, the the role of the African male has been the protector, the provider, and the guide of the Black family, nation, race, and it is not a secret so that so many of our brothers are locked up in the belly of the beast. So we're so honored to have another opportunity to go and converse with those brothers and build. And speaking of that, while I was there, I met a brother by the name of Gregory Hatt, and he was telling me about his particular case. And he was saying, you know, he's been locked up since 1977, and it was a white couple who was kidnapped and murdered and raped, and he got indicted for him and another guy, even though the other guy had admitted that this particular brother had nothing to do with what they were saying he did. And mysteriously, it was a fire in the prison, which 42 inmates died in this fire. And the guy who was a witness, who was testifying and said that, you know, this guy didn't have anything to do with it, died in this fire. So he has an amazing story. I told him I'm gonna have to look into it more and get more information on it, and, you know, see what's going on, because there's a lot of people who've been locked behind the belly of the beast, and they just, because they don't have the resources available, or because it's a high profile case and they just want to be closed, and they're not getting justice for it. And this brother, you know, he called me, matter of fact, yesterday. We had an interesting conversation. He was talking about, you know, when he was convicted in Pulaski, Tennessee, and that is the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan, where Nathan Bedford Forrest, who became the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, they all developed that in Pulaski, Tennessee, a very racist place, and this is where he was convicted, although he was trying to get the location moved. And I think at his last parole, they said that it was going toward his way. Then a lady said, if you let this nigga out, well, then I don't think they call him nigga, but they insinuated if you let this man out, then the same things that happened to that white lady who was jogging downtown and was murdered is going to happen again. That's just what he's going to do. And he said inflammatory statements like that is what prevented him from getting out of prison in the first place. But his name is Gregory Hatt. So, like I said, we'll get more information about his case and maybe spread more information about it, because that's what we're here for, to try to, you know, spread information, get the word out. But yeah, definitely. And don't forget about Nation Day coming up, the end of March. This year, 2023, is going to be in South Carolina. So let's make sure that we get together and do all of those beautiful things that is required for nation building. And what is his name again? His name is Gregory Hatt. Gregory Hatt. You know, and I'll be giving more information, because it's actually a brother who's on his case that I'm supposed to contact today after the show, to give me some information about his case, give him the files. They say, you know, he has everything documented. This is according to him. So, you know, I'm going to say that right now. This is, you know, based on the conversations that I've had with him. You know, a lot of stuff I haven't been able to confirm, but, you know, from the conversation, it seems like it has an interesting case. But, you know, we'll hear more about that. That's Gregory Hatt. But yes, but hey, we've been talking about 100-year anniversary of Rosewood, many of the independent Black townships that thrived once upon a time in America, that showed an example of what is possible when we get together and we do for ourselves. And Comrade, I know when we're in the radio part of the broadcast, you did an excellent job talking about the many Black townships and some of the things that happened. If you could, you know, we revisit that, and I think you're gonna have to unmute yourself. Okay, so we can do that.
Yeah, but first I wanted to just ask the brother, I think his name is Obafemi, about the Race First Conference. Yeah. It'll probably be, and this is just a suggestion, to come see what we have out there and build some relationships at the RNA Nation Day conference. And it's actually from the 31st, because I got it wrong last week. It's actually from the 31st to April the 2nd. It's a
Right.
3-day event. And you'll have an opportunity to meet with some of the brothers and sisters out there that's a part of this new African independence movement that will be more than happy to listen to you and maybe take that blueprint that you have back to their city and begin to start creating a venue for us to continue to move forward, because the gathering of us for a common cause is what's going to unite us. We understand that we have a common enemy, but this enemy has so much power that it takes a lot of effort and just to get the right word out. They've been miseducating us for decades, scores, and centuries. And so we have to do everything in our power to try to get the word out. And your idea would be one way, in addition to all the other ways that we're doing, to try to increase our influence on getting the right word out and not letting our people being miseducated.
You want to say something? Now, because the brother responded to you, he said, we plan on coming, he said, my music group and family. So this brother got a music group. This brother is an artist. So now I'm finna get all up into your business, comrades. You ain't know, you tell us you was an artist. What you do? You're a singer, you're a rapper, you're a poet. What you do, man? I want to know, you know what I'm saying? And if so, you know, do you have your music online? Where can we promote? And if you got music that you recorded, is there any way we can use some of the music for our broadcast and put it out there so we can, you know, put some light on what you're doing, and we can have some of those smooth grooves up, you know, whatever it is you do, for some of the things that we do. Yeah, I'm just asking about you, brother, because you said you're music, you got a music group. So I wants to know. Hold on, Meta Queen said, well, Ofemi is in a RBG rap group. Okay, they will be guests on my show soon. Okay, I got a couple of bars. I can do a little thing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You gonna drop a verse for me, comrade? We're gonna have a collaboration. We're gonna have a collaboration. Like, see, yeah, we are all streaming platforms, MCF, Soul Music, check up MCF. Let's see. Oh, MCE, I can't even see. Okay, Soul Music, check us out on YouTube. I will do it, comrade. I will do it. As a matter of fact, do I have permission to put in y'all stuff on our Naba radio station? Because we actually do have a radio station that we play all kind of conscious music and things that are designed to liberate the people. And I guess you won't hear. I would imagine that you're gonna be dropping lyrics that ain't talking about shake your booty and kill this nigga and all of those negative things. I would imagine you're gonna be dropping them lyrics that designed to uplift and inspire, you know, or something on that nature. Since you listening to this program, but yeah, that's what's up, comrade. It's good hearing from a fellow artist, you know. Hey, it's all love. Let's make it happen. Damn right. We sure can make it happen. We definitely can do that. You know, technology, man. You shoot me a track, I shoot you a track, and next thing you know, we got a whole song. That's what. But comrade, you was talking about some of these black cities, independent black cities that thrive and were doing well, and some of the things that happened to them. I'm gonna bring that back over to you, and we'll go back to the audience in a minute. But I did want you to talk about that because you provided a lot of very good information on it.
Yeah. So and that's the producer in him, Obafemi. Obafemi is Brother Prophecy, and y'all need to really hook up. He's a great producer as well. He's going to be modest, but at some point, y'all hook up and talk and make it happen. Yeah, so, we talked about a lot of different places. One of the things that we have out there is historians telling us about different things along the way. There are many events where our cities, our independent cities, our self-sustaining cities, I really can't truly say independent in the sense of us having our own government, own military, own economic system, but within the confines of this predatory economy, capitalist economy that we have here, that we're up against here in these so-called United States of America, we still have examples of people being able to be self-sustaining. But in the majority of the cases, when they do show signs of independence, being outside of the norm of participating in this economic system, they've been attacked. They've been bombed in many cases. But we were talking about the sister named Amber Ruffin, who did a great documentary on some of the cities that have been actually turned into lakes. Now, it's so many of them. I just want to go over a couple of them because the history behind it tends to be the same example. When you talk about Oscarville, Georgia, Oscarville, Georgia does not exist anymore, people. It's no longer a part of the state of Georgia. As a matter of fact, the only thing that's left is the square area, the area in which it was actually located. That still exists because land doesn't change in that sense. But when you go there, it's no longer Oscarville, it's Lake Lanier. And Lake Lanier, believe it or not, is a vacation spot for white people now to do their fishing. They also do vacations, family vacations. And if you go there right now, Lake Lanier has
And it's in what county?
Oh, it's in Forsyth County. That's right. Forsyth County in Georgia, which
all black people were eliminated from.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, and that's right, Grandmaster Teacher. All black people were eliminated from their city. They had that county. They had to flee because it was the same old example of black people supposedly assaulting white people, and that is reason enough to allow their vigilantes, where we call them the Ku Klux Klans, terrorists. That's what they are. They are terrorists. They're the only ones that will go in and bomb our homes, bomb our churches, go in and kill our elderly in the churches. These are terrorists. They've been terrorists from day one with the shackles, and they've been terrorists up to this day with the mass murder in schools and churches of our people. And so, but Lanier, let me just go through a list of them, man, because that's not the only one. We talked about Rosewood having the same background in the sense of a black person being accused of assaulting a white person, and that gives them enough reason to go ahead and destroy our people. And when you talk about Lake Lanier, I want to move this out the way. I can't even move it out the way. The entire town of Oscarville was intentionally flooded in conjunction with. Man, I got this damn thing on my. Can I cuss on Facebook?
You already don't start it. So.
But here's the deal. When we talk about us getting independence in this country, it has to be understood that independence comes with our own national territory, our own land. We can't maintain the idea that if we become financially independent in this system, that we are independent as a people. That just doesn't work. What we can do with the finances and revenues generated from our ideas and concepts is put it towards us getting our own independent sovereign nation by securing the land under the governance of our people, not under the governance of the European oppressors that have enslaved us for centuries upon centuries. We have to understand that when the revolution hits, it's not about what they're talking about, us going up to the United States Capitol with guns drawn and running the people out of the Capitol. We don't care nothing about them folks. They already have proven to us that they can't run a nation, they can't run a government, and they can't run an economic system. We have to understand the mere fact that we separate and leave this system is enough to topple them. The problem is that we don't know it, they know it. And that's why it's so difficult for us to have our own, because they know the minute that we leave this union of the United States of America, it's the beginning of their demise. And we have to understand that under what we've been through, there's no opportunity for us to try to be successful within their system. They've shown us from one family being bombed in Philadelphia, the Move family, to whole cities that have been economically sustaining themselves independently, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we win the initial skirmishes. We won the initial battle. See, they don't tell you that we didn't just get kicked out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was some real men and women who stood up for the brother and began to fight back. They won against their first line of defense. That was the police. And then they brought in reinforcements, which was the United States government. Where then again, it shows who we are with respect to this United States government. We're enemies. At the end of the day, if we're not submissive, keeping our place as enslaved individuals in this country, we will not be able to succeed in this country. We have to understand that at the end of the day, they're going to bring their federal troops in to attack us. Even when the brother, the brother that Brother Smalls, who was one of the people who had gotten a taste of the 40 acres and a mule.
Tunis Campbell?
Tunis Campbell. I'm sorry, Tunis Campbell, who got a taste of the 40 acres and a mule in South Carolina. Set it up, created his own government. The locals there, because we have to understand that the first wave was the plantation owners, because Andrew Johnson, the president at the time that took the place of Abraham Lincoln when he got assassinated, who has that plantation in Tennessee that was the first place in Tennessee Donald Trump visited, by the way, when he became president.
That's Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, I mean.
But Andrew Johnson is
exactly
different.
Yeah, Andrew Johnson. I'm sorry, Andrew Johnson was the one that gave the land back. And when he gave the land back, the plantations owner came to most situations armed with the vigilante, and they took the land back. But when they got to this brother in South Carolina, he had already set up a government and a military. And when they came, they found that they were outnumbered, outmanned, the white folks that came found out that they couldn't handle what they had gotten themselves
Basically,
into.
they whooped their ass.
They whooped their ass. But what ended up happening, the military came in and to let you know where we sit in the hierarchy of this nation. The military came in the first battle we won. And they had to come back and regroup. I'm sorry, they had to come back and regroup. And when they regrouped, they used a tactic that they still use today to confuse us, bamboozle us, hoodwink us, and lead us astray. And that is they put us up against ourselves. And so they brought in a second troop of federal military people who were a black unit that came in, and the brother refused to fight his brother and tried to talk to him. But you got to understand something. They're going to use every trick in the trade to defeat us and to keep us from securing our own independent sovereign nation and securing our national territory. So people, we got to understand that we're going to have to stand, especially the men. I mean, the women been there the whole time, but especially the men. We're going to have to finally get back to understanding that in order for us to have our freedom, we have to be willing to die for it. We have to be willing to die for it in order to secure a better future for our children, grandchildren, and any descendant after that.
And I want to go to Grandmaster Teacher. We got a lot of comments, a lot of people making a lot of comments, being real active, as always, because like I always say, we have some of the most informed, most well-educated, most politically aware audience members in the land, and we want to get back to them in a little bit. But I want to go to the Grandmaster Teacher real quick, because I know you've been silent. I got it. Yeah, because he's been silent for a minute there. Oh, I can't get it. You got to. So yeah, Grandmaster Teacher, you can weigh in.
Yeah. So we must understand, like I said, that in different periods of time, we've always had struggle. Now people have responded to struggle under organization. But when we talk about and the situation that Brother Kakai just talked about, this was even before they removed all the troops out of the South in 1877, so-called Compromise of 1877 by President Rutherford B. Hayes, in which all black people, all black men, because black men had received the right to vote in 1865 with the 15th Amendment, were eliminated from office in the so-called Reconstruction. That was the end of Reconstruction, so that the Republican president, wanted to hold the presidency. So and race was so close that they voted in the House of Representatives to make this man the president. Be compromised by bringing all troops out, including black troops, and send them out to West to fight against the so-called indigenous people.
No, protect white people.
Protect white, and to take over the Black Hills and all over where they had gold. Mm-hmm. And so consequently, this is where we have to understand that if we know that we have war, and that's the problem. The problem is, that's why we said educated, the uneducated, and re-educated, to know that we have been at war, and that we have not been just sitting back, in this war, but we have not had enough unity, umoja, to come together and understand self-determination to the point of where they come from the beginning, even with Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany. Martin Delany was a Pan-African. He wanted to go, back to Africa, but he was fooled into becoming a representative down in South Carolina. And in 1877, in 1876, he went back to want to go back to Africa. After he had been fooled into participating in the activity, which shows you that no remedy, because we had our people who had the right idea about reparations and everything, thinking that they're going to become a part of this America, and then they joined the Union by being part of what they call representative of the Southern state under the Republican Party, and the Republican Party betrayed them. It's a book called compromise of 1870, betrayal of the Negro by Rayford Logan. Dr. Rayford Logan was a professor at Howard University. So the betrayal of the Negro, and it showed all the elements of what we're talking about, how they have eliminated any kind of independence that we've shown, because they want to have control over everything, and they want us to be in control of anything. And so these are the kind of things that I think brother was talking about dealing with the 40 acres and the mule, that whole element, because it was a radical Republican that had came up with the idea outside of, but it was implemented by General Sherman. But it was never really voted on in the Congress, and they backed up and allowed Andrew Johnson, who was impeached, the first president to be impeached, and to give all the land back that had been acquired by the ex-slaves.
Right. He had to pardon 15,000 slave owners.
Right.
In order to make that happen.
And all these movies that we see movies that's talking about Reconstruction and about how white folks came in and took over, the South from the North, and the carpetbaggers, and then they talk about black folks, but black folks were the only ones that were active in setting up school systems and all that into all the states of the South and different little, because there was no governance, after the so-called Civil War in the South, and they had no educational system even before then. So even the poor whites benefited from the legislation that was put together by these black folks in all the southern states, what we call the Confederate states. And we are still suffering today because we had a little inch of power from 1865 to 1877, and they assassinated many black people, black politicians, black men. We're talking about what black men must do and all that. In that period of time, many black men, particularly in Louisiana, were assassinated at conferences and stuff they were attending, picnics, what they call picnic. A lot of times we think about picnic, where they like picking, they were killing black folks, and they eliminated all the black men that were in so-called political office during this period of time. And this is where they started passing what they call Jim Crow laws, and eliminated, because only black men were the ones that were able to vote, because only men could vote. Okay, period, in America. And so consequently, this is what we have to begin to see, and then in the second Reconstruction in 1965, when they gave, the right to vote back to black folks as a whole, and every year.
Hold up, you say they gave the right to vote back?
Back. Okay, so black men had the right to vote in 1865.
Right.
Through the 15th Amendment of the Constitution. There were 3 amendments. 13th Amendment, was supposed to end the chattel slavery and allow for slavery we have today. Then you had the 14th Amendment that said if you were born in America, you're a citizen. Then you had the 15th Amendment, which gave black men, specifically black men, the right to vote. This was all eliminated, in after 1877.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And so that what I'm saying, that's why some people call the 1960s the second Reconstruction. But the second Reconstruction is much weaker than the first Reconstruction. Okay, because the first Reconstruction, black folks had senators and representatives and all, and they set up laws and stuff, in the South. Because the white men Confederates, had to, give a pledge, to come back in order to be able to vote again. So in many states, they didn't give that pledge. So that's why, it lasted more through the 70s, and during that period of time. But we got to understand, too, that the white Republicans did misuse, the black folks in that period of time, and they became, they held the presidency all the way up to I think Woodrow Wilson. He was the first Democratic president since the Civil War. So these are the kind of things we got to begin to understand and look at. That's why we're saying all remedies have been exhausted, because we thought they had civil rights bills and all that in the 1880s. All of that was eliminated through Jim Crow, what they call Jim Crow, Plessy versus Ferguson in 1897. When they said we'd have no political rights. We had no political rights. So these are the kind of things, and the only reason that we're talking about the economic right is because they're supposed to be separate but equal. And we took advantage of that, but it never was equal. But we were still able to create towns and businesses and stuff that would compete. Yeah, that were competing with the local business in the area which was why they were eliminated, even in Memphis, when the grocery store in Memphis. 3 black men were lynched.
People's Grocery.
People's Grocery. Yeah.
Yeah. Wanna jump back in and I get it. There you go. Want to jump back in and get to our audience. Did not mean to do that, but yeah, Bianca Corner said Mount Harris, Colorado, Deerfield, Colorado, Durango were all black towns here, and that's correct. And it's just so many. I mean, we can go on and on and on because like all the time I run across information that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we always, people like to say, well, we come such a long way. We come such a long way. But when you look at it, think about it in terms of building wealth, of having ownership, of land. We actually are in reverse because we have collectively less wealth and less ownership of land than we did back in those days.
In 1865.
Yeah, 1865. We had more. So yeah, thank you for that. For more examples of independent black towns that we once had, we were doing well when we were not necessarily integrated into a system that really don't even want us there in the first place. They only wants to feed off of our exploitation. So thank you for that, Sister Bianca. Let me see. But the Queen said, national homegrown terrorists. They come from caves in the prison. I tell the Queen, don't get banned again. Don't get thrown in Facebook jail again. She's a veteran of Facebook jail. She always, speaking that truth, it'd be too hard for them to handle. Let me see. Bianca, she said, my ancestors worked in a black-owned coal mine town. Wow, what coal mine town was that, Bianca? If you know, that'd be interesting to know. It's good that you know as much of your ancestors as that, because a lot of people don't even know that far back with our ancestors.
Gotta be Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama.
Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. Yeah, okay, yeah. So let me see. Better Queen, land is power, and we need it to secure resources for us and create and build an economic base for us. Definitely, land is the foundation of freedom. And sometimes we get confused about what freedom is. We think freedom is synonymous with white people treating us better or accepting us is equal. No, I don't really care if white people like us or not. You know what I'm saying? I care about having the ability to defend, to protect ourselves, and create a future for me and my family. You know what I'm saying? Whether you like me or not, I don't give a damn. You can hate me. I don't like me. I don't like your ass either. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if your dislike for me, you have power to enforce and inflict and affect my life as a base of your dislike or disdain for me, then we have issue. So now, our fight got to be to neutralize that, to prevent you from having that power over me. So therefore, we got to have control over the land and the resources and all of those things, the system and institutions that control our lives. You know, that's how we neutralize that. You know, we can't continue to beg people to hope that they like us. And even if they do like us, they got control over all of the industry, institution, and system to govern our lives. So that ain't really changing the concrete conditions for us. So, you know, so it don't even matter. So you absolutely right. Land is the foundation of freedom. Brother Fini, you said we definitely have to look at security, military defense measures for internal and external matters, and that is extremely important. I think I heard Brother Abdul talked about this on Conversation Between Comrades. One thing that we have to do now is we have to gain control over the institutions in our community. You know, we have to have a concrete example of what independence looks like right now. You know, it's a protracted struggle. You know, we ain't finna get to 5 states tomorrow, right. But we can take control over the institutions in our community where we live. We can control those things that are within arm reach, so we can give our people an example of, you know, this is what it is to control our community, to have community control. We can do those things, and these are things that we must do. This has to be the focus and energy of the leadership. You know, let's gain control of the institutions. Let's show our people a concrete example of what it is to self-govern, you know, in the ways that we can. And things develop from the simple to the complex. And, you know, I'm gonna get there.
That's not.
You see, we definitely, okay, you already said that. Meta Queen understand, overstood that. Definitely. Bianca said 100. I was never responding to some when you was going off, Comrade Kakayi. You see, Meta Queen said, speak on it, brother Kakayi. That good, cause you let people be saying, Kakayi, you don't know what the hell you talking about. I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing. Nah, that's right, brothers on point. Let me see. Come on with that history, Baba. Now I guess he's talking about master teacher, grandmaster teacher. Let me see. Bianca says, Bianca, we are to live in Guza Saba, and that's extremely important because I know we just wrapped up our Kwanzaa season, and understand clearly the thing what we did last week, Kwanzaa, those 7 days, it's not meant to simply be practice 7 days of the year. The last 7 days of the year is to be implemented and practiced all year long. 7 days, just, you know, it's just the combination of where we sit back and we review. This is how the year is gone. This is what we celebrate. We have a good time in celebration of the things we did, and we prepare and we strategize, and this is what we're gonna do for the next year. And then on Kwanzaa again, we get back together and we discuss it and we continue and so forth until we ultimately gain, you know, our ultimate goals. But, you know, definitely one of our blueprint books. Definitely. Bianca, I see you've been real active. Big up for you, sister. Our biggest mistake was teaching Europeans to wash themselves. Black Plague was almost done. She's saying we shouldn't have never civilized them. That's what you're saying. You know, let them die and perish from their own disease because of their practice. A lot of people don't even understand that because we've been conditioned to believe that Africa and African people and our indigenous people come from uncivilized place, and European people had to civilize us. But if you understand history, it's the direct opposite. You know what I'm saying? While we were in kingdoms and nations and had great contributions to civilizations, creating great civilization, sciences, and mathematics, Europeans still lived in a nomadic lifestyle over in the caves of Europe. And that ain't even hate or racism, anything like that. That's just a matter of fact. Not even to hate on them for being in that particular stage, because, you know, everything has a stage of development from the lower form to the next form. It's just particularly African people, we got there first. Well, we got there first because we're the, you know, the fathers and mothers of humanity. All humanity came from us, you know. So it's just only we've been lied to. about who we are, where we come from. We've been taught, things in order to justify a system of exploiting our ancestors as well as us in order to justify the terrible crimes against humanity that has been committed against our people. So it's great that we break those mental and psychological chains of enslavement by having right knowledge, having correct information and correct history. So thank you for that, sister. Greetings from Shabaka's Black experience enhanced. Blogtalkradio.com, Shabaka's BLK experience enhanced. Okay, you got your own show, brother Baka.
Is that Shabaka over in Arkansas?
I'm not sure if that's Shabaka or not, but
I don't remember his last name being.
Yeah. Are you the Shabaka from Arkansas? Okay, whatever, Shabaka. I'm glad you tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, and we gotta tune in to your Blog Talk Radio. If you're listening to this, so I'm expecting anybody who dare tune in to the Voices of New Africa, you got some uplifting and conscious and good material on your radio show.
And you know what? I want to give a shout out to Bianca because as we talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see. She said something about her family is from Colorado with the Black Mining Company. But I also got a chance to see that. Remember where we did? Well, I don't want to say what we did.
Yeah, but
remember where. Remember where we saw that place where the people were voting after the first civil rights movement, first Reconstruction. They had the black, like Grandmaster Teacher said, the men were able to vote, and so they were voting for black people to take control of all the political office because that was a predominantly black city, and we went there and we saw it. And we were out there with Pata.
This is talking about all in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember the city? Colfax.
Yeah, Colfax.
Yeah, that's where I'm listening. I'm looking at Bianca. We want to give a shout out to you because you're in a historical area where those 100 and so people, probably more than that, were killed because they just wanted to exercise their right to vote. In that church down, I guess that's Main Street down there. We went to Subway or something. We went and got some food. But anyway, good sister, good looking out. We want to give a shout out to you. Yeah, we know about Colfax, and we know about Colfax, Louisiana, and the massacre at the church for the voting. Right, and. Yeah, so we want to give a recognition to the sister. Now, the Black American Mid-Atlantic movement.
Okay, let's go to that one because I kind of skipped over some, but I was just looking at them.
They said they building.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Black American Mid-Atlantic movement. Melly Queen added me some stuff. Let me see. We are building a black nation in the states of Maryland and Virginia and Delaware. Okay, the Black American Mid-Atlantic movement. And I'm gonna go straight to another of one of your posts. It says the black nation will be in the Mid-Atlantic states. We do not need a bill. We do not need to build a nation in the deep South. Let me see. Anybody telling you to build a black nation in 5 states in the deep South is a liar. Okay, all right.
Let's handle that because
let's deal with you. Let me see. Maryland and Virginia is a real homeland, not Mississippi. Okay. Who want to start with it, brother? First?
Let's go, Grandmaster.
Okay. So let's
There you go.
Okay. So if anything, if we deal with Maryland and Delaware and Virginia, where they were at the apex of the Confederacy, at the Mason-Dixon line, and they're still below the Mason-Dixon line, particularly Maryland and Maryland, Virginia. And so when we talk about 5 states, we're talking about where we were majority, that we were rulers of those states. You know, we in the so-called Reconstruction era, and so consequently, they would be the foundation. But if we want to have talks about a nation, then we might want to say all 11, 12 states, to be a part of, a part of the people who are in the Confederacy, but we still have more than half of the population.
It sounds like going down.
Yeah. We have half of the population.
Turn his sound down. Just turn your sound. Unmute yourself. Okay. All right, Grandmaster Teacher.
Okay, so therefore, when we talk about the Confederate States, there were 11 states that separated from the United States. In other words, that said that they were going, they created the Confederacy. And Maryland was not a part of the Confederacy, but Virginia definitely was, because Robert E. Lee was from Richmond, Virginia. So if we talk about anything, we're talking about more than 5 states, which would include what they call the Mid-American, Black Mid-America or whatever. It would be inclusive of all the states that we were fought and died in the so-called Civil War. But it's no doubt that those 5 states we talked were the majority and had the majority of population, and still have a significant, amount of the, population even right now. Those 5. So if we're going to join, if anything, we're going to join Maryland and Virginia and Delaware to those 5 states. That'll make 8 states. Mm-hmm. But we basically, rightfully, we could claim all of the so-called Confederate states, in which we have significant population. And so consequently, we got Arkansas and Tennessee, should be a part of that. Right. And most of the battles were fought in Tennessee.
Boot Hill and Mississippi, Missouri. Now, I also want to say to the brother, first things first, if we're going to talk about revolution, we got to take from the examples of successful people who fought for independence. And one of the most successful, well-known successful revolutions was the Haitian Revolution. So what they ended up doing, and we need at this moment, while you making statements about how you feel about certain situations, let's make this, let's look at this from a realistic perspective. There's certain things that we must talk about doing, that we know we need to do, and that's to have a nation. Let's stop right there and begin to build that nation. What the end result will be, that's for us to decide as we begin that process of building a nation. I'm a firm believer that we need to make sure that we add Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida to set off a block. Missouri to set off a block where we can protect our nation as it's developed, with a secure border where we can see, especially securing the Mississippi River up to a point where anything that comes from the Gulf has to come through our nation and we can't give up Arkansas, so that's up for discussion. But what I want you to understand, brother, is that the talk about a Black nation should be at the forefront of your conversation with any Black nationalist, and making sure that we get to be band together in order to get to that point where we're discussing the borders later. And what the Haitians did, and that's what I brought the Haitians up. This is the reason I brought the Haitians up, is because they had a problem with people having different ideas about religion during the time. And they said to themselves, hey, let's put the religion up on the shelf for right now. We know we have a common enemy. We know what our goal is, and we have the same common goal, nationhood and independence. Let's go ahead, handle our business, and then we'll bring that to the table when it's just us at the table and not no interference from the oppressor. And that's what we have to do when it comes to nationhood. We have to come together on nationhood, and we can deal with, there's a lot of other issues we're going to have to deal with as a nation of people. We're going to deal with the infrastructure. We're going to have to deal with what needs to be the spoils of war when we end up securing our borders. And we have to discuss that amongst ourselves and not with Europeans. I'm actually from the DMV, and I know that there's a lot of petty bourgeoisies that really don't care what goes on, and you're probably on an island by yourself, brother, up there, and we understand that. But come bring yourself into the movement, the new African independence movement, so that you can incorporate your concepts and ideas with what we have going, because it's all about nationhood, and you shouldn't have anybody add any negativity to your head about you, yourself, and us achieving that goal of nationhood.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this because personally, I don't have any problem with anybody having a disagreement about what states or how we should go about it. We need to have these discussions. These discussions are helpful. They're beneficial. You know what I'm saying? If you disagree or you think this is all of these discussions are beneficial. But I gotta say this: the way you came is out of line. You came up there calling people liars, throwing insults. That ain't how we do things, brother. You know, that ain't helpful. That ain't benefiting. That ain't freeing the land. That ain't through the spirit of Ma'at, the spirit of the Nguzo Saba, of anything like that. We can have a discussion about everything. Really, it's a way to do constructive criticism. But it ain't by coming in on a national program and saying, "Oh, anybody who talk about 5 things is a bunch of liars." And all. No, brother, that works to create division amongst our people. And that's a tactic that's been used by the enemy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Point blank. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't want to throw out no accusations about anything, but I'm just saying you coming in the spirit of the oppressor. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Really, I mean, and this is just a advice from pure love. You know what I'm saying? Check yourself on how you do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I have no problem, you know, with anybody disagreeing with anything, because disagreement, ideological struggle can only make us better. But if you come in a divisive way, you know what I'm saying, calling people liars and hurling insults on a national broadcast, bro, you know what I'm saying? I question red flags are going up, because really, you know, when you talking about building nation and nationhood, I want to support you. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how we can collectively work together to get our goals accomplished. You know what I'm saying? How can we move this thing to a higher level? But so like I said, I don't know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I don't know much about you. I'm definitely going to do some research and find out about you. But I'm just letting you know from the bottom of my heart, from love, don't do that, comrade. Don't do that, brother. Don't come off like that, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I'm saying it like saying it in a forceful way. Don't do that, because you coming across like a young person who don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounded. I don't know if you do or not, but that's how you sounded. So it's somebody who sounded like somebody who don't know how to engage in constructive criticism and self-criticism and these type of things, and how to have debates and conversation for the purpose of uplifting and building each other up and not pulling each other down. You know what I'm saying? If somebody who know that, then it's my responsibility to say, you know what I'm saying, with all due respect and all love, brother, you know what I'm saying, we can talk about disagreements about what the state should be, about what land we should advocate for, or what we're going to build our nation at. We can do that all day. All of those things are productive, but we can't come up here throwing insults at each other, especially when we don't even know who the hell you are.
And then, in addition to that, you know, without teaching, we get exposed to etymology. And so, you know, I could have just came at you the way you came at us, because your name is Black American, you know. But I'm going to give you an opportunity to share with us your experience and become a part of the movement of nationalism, because you are a brother, and quite frankly, we want everybody to catch it. That's why our program says we are here to get the word out. We're here to educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. I'm not going to harp on Black America. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I just need to talk to you, brother, and you need to talk to us. And just like you need to talk to everyone else out here in the listening audience here on in our family, and start adding to your repertoire. Don't burn bridges you haven't even begun to cross yet. Just learn what's on the other side and begin to develop a knowledge of that. And then you begin to build your relationships. And that's with any aspect of life, not just our nationhood. That's with any aspect of life. Okay. And brother Grandmaster Teacher.
Yes, confusion is the enemy of change. Confusion is the enemy of revolution. And anytime that you introduce yourself on a negative light, you're creating confusion. And that confusion leads us to think that it's part of a counterintelligence type program that it wants us to argue about what we're talking about. And we're not going to do that. But we hope that you are sincere in what you are advocating. But remember this, you're not going to be a part of no America. America is not going to allow you to be an independent force within its construct. So I suggest that you should look at changing your whole name process and everything if you're going to be a part of a process of liberation.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Grandmaster.
Let's move on. We spent too much time on that, but yeah, I mean, push that. But you know, in the spirit of solidarity and in the Guzo Saba, you know, I'm welcome and I'm open to learn, you know, as much as we possibly can about your organization and what you're trying to do, and to create union and not burn bridges. Yeah, so you know, I don't feel like we attacking you, even though we kind of did. We did attack, you know, how you came to us, but I am, like I said, definitely open to learning more about what you're trying to do, because I'm not afraid of people who disagree. You know, disagreement is an opportunity for individuals to grow. That's all that is. I welcome that. I love that. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, I always say that. So,
and I'll be in DC in about 3 months, and we can
you and me.
And I'll be up in DC in a couple of months, maybe about 3 months from now, after all of the National Nation Day and all that's over with. I'll be up in DC, and maybe we could chop it up a little bit and see what you all about, and you can see what we're all about.
If you're not the police.
Yeah, if you're not the police. That's right.
But anyway, let's continue. Here we go. Bianca. Well, where does cowboy come from? They definitely wouldn't call themselves that during that time. That's why we have to go to our spiritual realm. I know cowboys were black. You know, original cowboys were black. That's why they call them boys, because they were the individuals who did the work and, you know, all of these type of things. And we have historic individuals who were like world famous people who were so-called cowboys back in the day. I don't even just know necessarily what that come on. We was talking about the spark that comment, but yeah, just, you know, understanding it's so much of our history that has been lied about and hidden from us that, you know what I'm saying, we just don't know. There are pyramids there. You're talking about the pyramids in America. There are pyramids all over, you know, America. Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going with this conversation, but
we got a lot of mounds around here just in our area.
Yeah, definitely.
Big mound.
Okay. Let me see, Bianca. This is all our land
we are natives in 50 tribes. Yeah. And I think because it's been a lot of debate over, well, black people, are you from Africa? Are you indigenous and all of that? Now, of course, there's evidence that African people were black people were here in the Americas long before Columbus. You know what I'm saying? We, our historians definitely shown that. Issue that I have is we have debates and arguments over that today. We have people who argue about, I'm indigenous, I'm African. People who say it wasn't, changing history, saying wasn't no slave ships and all kind of, crazy things. And I'm like, look, we have to be focused on what's going on right here and right now. You know what I'm saying? We do critical analysis on our history to understand the true nature, exactly our involvement. And we're gonna have to get off the show early in a minute because my phone about to die.
Yeah, we already had one casualty.
Yeah, we got, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got a long, vast history, but it shouldn't be something that is used to divide us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna leave that with that.
And you know what? If we learn from the Haitian, they had one major conflict, and that was religion. We may have to put a few because of all of this education that we've been given by our oppressors. We may have to go ahead and indicate certain things that's gonna have to be put on the shelf until we get our independence and sovereignty. Go ahead, Graham.
Yeah. So the only problem that I have with all this claiming of I don't see any action. I don't see it. I see people want to be a part of the casinos and they want to get money as a result of trying to suddenly become native to this country. And we don't want to have a conflict with the native people of this country. So even if the Cherokee, the Africans that were brought from this area over to Oklahoma with the Cherokee, there's conflict right in that. We don't want to be trying to say that we are the Cherokee people. You know what I'm saying? These were Africans that were enslaved, by not the same kind of slavery, because they allowed their slaves to intermingle and marry and all that and become even leaders within the so-called native, native nations of America. So those of you who want to do that, go ahead and struggle for that, and we'll see the reality of that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that you're going to have to come back home to Africa and African people and new Africans throughout, and become part of that nation. And remember, all the gold and silver has been depleted in this what they call the United States of America.
And I think I saw a comment. I think Brother Shabaka said, please explain the $5 Indian. You know about that comment?
Oh yeah, the $5 Indian where the Europeans it was back after the first Reconstruction, when the Europeans were going out to the West, to pioneers, and our military, our black troops were the main troops that were going out there. So during that time, there was a president, and he caught me off guard because I don't remember the president's name. He said that we want to have so many acres of land, and they decided that they were going to give those acres of land away. But during that process, there was they were supposed to give some of the land to the Indians, but the Indians, but white people were claiming to be Indians, right, and they were given permission to be validated as Indians if they paid $5.
Right.
And so many of the so-called Indians of this day have I'm not trying to bring any confusion to the Indian population. But what I'm trying to say is that Europeans were paying $5 to be classified as Indians back in those days, and many of them did.
In other words, it was a rule that basically said if you pay $5, then you can be declared an Indian, so-called Indians, but they were not Indians. But you can be declared, get this certain nationality or whatever, and you can be open to get these resources. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like you have a lot of people who claim certain things and certain heritage as a way to gain resources, and not because of a natural bloodline. Right. And unfortunately, we got other comments. I can't read them because my screen is actually going black, and my it's about to go.
Yeah, it's about, what time is it? It's 2:16. It's about time for us to end this. And
we've been on
next week
for about an hour and a half. So yeah, I mean, we got an interesting conversation. We need to keep this up because it's it's good to have these conversations. It's good to agree. It's good to disagree. It's good to have these issues out where we can have ideological struggle and we can both come to a higher level. That's the way we grow. You ain't gonna grow if you always agree with everybody all the time. But we gotta know how to, y'all. We can't. Anytime we disagree, we gotta stay respectful. We ain't be throwing insults because that's not constructive. That's not scientific. That's not gonna get us anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, and I haven't heard from that brother who called us a bunch of liars or whatever it is. Yeah, I haven't heard from back. I wish I could hear more from this brother. So we can come to a better understanding. But it is what it is. And I'm gonna leave that on that. But I want to
chaos and confusion.
But I want to thank for everybody for tuning in. And I'm sorry we weren't able to get to the rest of the comments. My phone just dying and I can't even see them now. And so I know it's a lot of good back and forth going on. We'll pick this up next week, hopefully. Join us next Sunday on the Voices of New Africa, the show where we educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. I'm Brother Prophecy for Comrade Kakayi and Grandmaster Teacher. We're going to see y'all again next week. We love y'all and we leave y'all with our battle cry, and that is none other than
free the land, free the land, free the land.
All right. See y'all again next week.
We always say the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, that I am a revolutionary.
These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. Free in the land.